Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast, YouTube video interview program that we thought would never happen, that features me talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist/secular/awesome community. This is episode number 141. I am recording live on May 4th, 2018. May the 4th be with you, and may you culturally appropriate some Mexican beverages tomorrow. Thanks to last week's guests, Don, Jeff, and Jerry of Godless Heathens. Please continue drinking IPAs and lagers and save the stouts for me. Tonight's guests are returning due to high demand by them. Deborah Smith was on episode 128 discussing just the first two of 27 topics of which she had been researching studiously for a while. She contributes to the Opening Arguments podcast and may or may not support others. Jeanne Ikerd, formerly of the Polyaskery podcast, RIP, was on episode 89 and the Roundtable 120. Usually is in the chat room throwing me questions, and like Deborah, has become an unforeseen benefit of this podcast. True friends. Sadly, don't have really good out of context because of the technical issues we had the last 2 days. So I will ask, who has the evil tonight between the two of you?
We're gonna share. No, we're gonna share.
70-30.
Okay. We'll renegotiate midway.
You're so difficult. 70-30. I told you.
Who has
Yes.
70 and who has 30?
Oh, she does. She has the 70.
Yeah. I've had a rough 24 hours. I need the extra, 20%.
Okay, granted. I will grant you that.
Thank you.
Renegotiations to happen halfway through.
Okay. Fair.
Now,
deal.
you've been preparing for like 2 weeks for this show and doing all this
No, we
research
haven't.
on articles that I just saw in my inbox 5 minutes ago. So I will leave it up to you to decide, what do you want to talk about tonight? What's happening in the world that you want to just dig into tonight?
Do we get to ease into this a little bit?
Well,
No.
we can.
Oh, good.
How do we ease into it? Wait.
Because I have a
Mood
story.
music?
I have a story to tell. So
Okay.
This is, if you listen, how if you listen to Rachel Maddow, she'll start out with this one story and it'll kind of go somewhere, and then she'll bring it on home to the point she wants to make, right? That's this. So the last time I was on, be quiet, Jeanne. The last time I was on, I had just come back from Colombia, and I had a Colombia story. Remember, Zach?
Always.
Always. Good. So I also have a Colombia story, although this is not an in Colombia story. This is a coming to America story. Now, when I travel, because I'm low vision, I use a white cane in things like airports or malls so that other people can know I don't quite see them the way they see me. And so I'm getting off a plane that I'd gotten on at 6:30 or some horrible time of the morning. And I'm staggering into immigration. And I've got my little bag, and they asked me, I was in line, got pulled out of line, pulled into a different line. And
You weren't drunk, were you?
Oh, God, no.
Okay, well,
And-
you were staggering into immigration, so I had to ask.
Well, I have a cane. Come on. And they have ottomans there. So anyway, they started with the questions, and they didn't stop. Why were you in Colombia? Who were you seeing in Colombia? Who paid for your ticket to Colombia?
You just became a drug mule.
What are you bringing into the country? And I said, chocolate, cigars, and coffee. And then they asked a ton of questions and came back to, what are you bringing into the country? I said, same answers before, chocolate, cigars, and coffee. Asked a whole bunch of other really invasive questions. Came back to, what are you bringing into the country? I said, I've answered this twice before, and my bag hasn't moved since then. So it's still, cigars, chocolate, and coffee. And I looked at this individual after he asked a particularly sexist question, and I said, I've just come from a third world country where women are often not well treated. I'm a feminist, and I'm a U.S. citizen. So are we done now? And honest to Pete, he looked up at me and he said, you should smile more.
Oh.
Oh my fucking God, are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you. I am not joking. That is what happened.
Oh,
So
Pumpkin, you should smile more. Aw.
I know.
Yeah, just you should be more pleasant because you have boobs.
Because right, yeah, exactly, because I've got boobs, so I should be more pleasant. So what this made me realize is that I was in a country where I thought the sexism was overt. And I came home to my own country and thought, the sexism is still overt. You look at a guy that he gave the third degree to and say you should smile more. And that sets up a real dialogue about how, not only how men treat women, but more importantly, how are we raising our young men and our boys so that they cannot do these things? And the Me Too movement, those movements have ignited people, and that is a good thing. But that's not the end. It seems like people think that's the end, and it is not the end. Because we want to find out what behaviors are women themselves doing, what demands are we not making, what assertions are we not providing so that behaviors can change. So that's my thought. I brought it all back home, and here we are.
Okay.
Go.
You're done with the soapbox for a minute?
I am. You may have it.
What you got, Zach?
You know hashtag not all men, or is that for me? Oh, go for it.
Ooh, we're going to do not all men. Ooh, okay.
No, we're not, but you might.
We can. No, I think that's a really important thing that you and I have been talking about, Deborah, is that there is a woeful lack of women standing up for who they are, culturally, just behaving well and creating a better expectation. And I don't know what we can do about that, but I find it frustrating. I think that a lot of it has a lot to do with our education, how we train both, how we train our children just across the board about how to behave with other people.
Can I make an analogy?
Sure. You're going to anyway.
I'm going to anyway. You're right. Haley, will you water and thank you.
Analogy.
Refill.
Yes, the analogy is
all bourbon.
Thank you. More bourbon. That's the analogy. When Rosa Parks would not sit in the back of the bus, a lot of people mark that as the beginning, as the civil rights movement. But they are wrong, because what that moment was a catalyst for people to move forward. And one of the things that we have to look at the Me Too movement is it isn't when it started, it's a catalyst for all the things that have happened.
And all the things that will happen after this.
And all the things that will happen and will be difficult, because before Rosa Parks, you had people of color, you had people who were not of color who were angry about the system. And they were frustrated, and they carried their anger and their frustration, and they tried in small ways to accommodate change or make change, but those small ways weren't getting there. And Correct. Rosa Parks provided a catalyst. Martin Luther King provided a catalyst, but they didn't do that revolution on their own. That was built of men and women, hundreds, thousands, millions that made that happen. And that's how it has to be for the Me Too movement. We have to understand that the advent of that was a catalyst. Now the question is, where are we going with it? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So what are we doing, Jeannie?
I don't know. I think that this is... No, what you got, Zach?
Testify, I'm saying.
Oh, okay. No, I think that this really is a good chunk of the conversation, is that there is no correct answer. There's a whole lot of gray in this, and
a lot of gray.
We have to figure out how we're going to negotiate that, and it's like you said, it's going to be rough. And I think that part of the issue is that being women who have experienced a certain amount of life, you and I have a different perspective than a lot of other people who might be young and have
We're at a certain age, you're saying. Okay, I got it. No worries.
We are of a certain age.
We are.
Youthful.
Yes. The expectations that we grew up with are different, and we've fought alongside of those to the point where I think that a lot of people that are younger now already have the expectations, but they don't have the processes in place to actually work around them and deal with them. Because, like you said, this is a catalyst kind of moment. So there's this cultural internal dialogue about how do we keep moving forward.
Well, can I?
You're gonna anyway. Just go.
I am. I am. All right, Zach, you have in front of you, there's an article on the Washington Redskins cheerleader. Yes?
No? I didn't see that.
Okay. That was from 2 days ago. Yeah.
I got that one, but
no, just go ahead and tell the story, Deborah.
No, you tell. You've got it.
I know how. Since I'm a fan of the National Football League, and man, what a terrible team name that is that still exists. But yeah, I've heard stories about how they're treated.
Jeanne, you tell about it. You tell the story.
Okay. And see, Deborah gives me homework, and so this is what I retained from it: is women were feeling like they were prostituted by the cheerleading association. They didn't want to do it. They felt that it was no choice, but they were also told that it was an option, but then also had their passports taken away from them.
And that's
passports. Where were they?
They were in Costa Rica. This was in 2015.
Okay.
They were doing a calendar shoot. They arrived in Costa Rica, and the Washington Redskins officials collected all the women's passports. Now, had that been me, I would have said, I'm sorry.
Oh, fuck no.
This is my passport and you cannot have it. So that's stick number one. At some point, they were expected not for photos, but for general entertainment.
Accessibility.
They were expected to be topless. And then on top of that, some of them were chosen by some of the big donors to escort them to some event that night. So they were being pimped out by the Washington Redskins.
So no expected sex, but
so what bothers me is you have young women, but they're not teenagers. These women, they're not children. They are adults, and they landed on foreign soil, and their employer demanded that they surrender their passports.
Well, okay, so here's the thing that kind of got me about this was the implication behind that was that the women were too dumb to not have them stolen or have them get lost. And so we're going to take care of them for you. And I'm sorry. I'm a grown-ass adult. If I lose it, it's my bad. If it gets stolen, that's my bad too. But pretend that I'm an actual adult and that I've thought these things through. If somebody had said like, hey, can I put this in your safe because I'm afraid, I'm clumsy and I lose shit all the time. That's one conversation to have had, but to have demanded the passports is that's a whole nother level of just absolute disrespect as people being actual.
And someone taking control over the destiny of someone else. Someone saying, you cannot leave the country until I give you this back.
Well, I doubt that they read it that way at the time.
I doubt that they did too, although they mentioned it. So if they mentioned it, they were not happy about it.
Yes.
And the question is, how do we get women to the point to say, hell no, it's my passport and you cannot have it, and have a nice day.
And cheerleaders in the NFL have sued because they get paid $50 a game. And they're kind of told, well, this will help your modeling career, when most of them aren't going to become models or not going to do this anymore. They might even be sports fans. And they
some of them are very smart. Yeah. They're actually getting degrees. They also just happen to have what we conventionally consider slamming bodies. And so that's just like a side gig for them. So, and that's not across the board. I'm just saying like that is true for some
it's
women.
big time exposure for sure, but they definitely sell that as part of the deal because they don't really make any money doing that. And they even push them to say, "Oh, you can't date players." And well, I've seen cheerleaders.
I'm not going to debate you about football at all. Like I know that you know
football.
You both
talk.
No, you both.
I know. How did you sneak that in? That was amazing. Nice
the
work.
sports thing. Then.
My worlds collide.
Excuse me. I'm from Chicago. Bears. The Bears.
Chicago. I'm gonna do this.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Talk amongst yourselves.
Mm.
You just. Oh wait. You just cracked a beer. What are you drinking? Like we haven't done the drinking thing yet.
This is the bourbon barrel drafty kilt out of Atlanta. I've been trying to drink local beer as Jeanne saw last night, me drinking a triple pineapple vanilla sour that just made her, I don't know what the deal is.
Wretch.
When do we talk about like the standard, female and male roles, and then when I say I'm drinking a beer with fruit, and all of a sudden it all kicks in. All of a sudden we're back in the 50s, and I'm supposed to be drinking a lager I can't taste. I see how it is. You're in Vermont. You should be like in the beer central,
It's a deep state conspiracy. That's what it is.
Is it?
Actually, this is also what I'm drinking tonight is this is a ginger beer out of California, which I haven't tried before. But I'm supposed to recycle it. Yeah. I generally like ginger beers, so I'm going to see how this tastes.
And what do you have, Deborah?
Oh God, that's fucking sweet. Jesus fuck.
In my mug, good for people who tip things over. So we use mugs. I have a very nice bourbon that I stumbled upon, and I can't remember
literally.
The name. Probably.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna need your break.
But it's very nice. It's a
Is it full?
No, it's really light. It's very, very light.
No, I mean, is your mug full? This is an important question to ask.
Well, we'll see as the night goes on, won't we?
Okay, fair enough.
So if you two ever do a show, is it going to be called "You Should Smile More"?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No. We came up with a name for it. Now I can't remember. It was something funny though.
It was.
I think it was like.
It was.
I think it had something to do with naked.
And one of these weeks, I'll actually drink out of this. The secular soup mug that was sent to me.
Show me the peanut
nice.
on the bottom.
Oh,
yeah. Show me. Yeah. There's only one. Apparently, it looks like it was this dog bone. Apparently, they sent one to Cog Dis, and I'm like, hey, Cog Dis isn't on your show yet, have they?
Hey, that was wow. Well, they only sent it to the very best then.
That's the
first
thing I've had sent to me that I haven't, the bomb squad hasn't had to check, so that's nice.
Well, I keep telling you should tell me what size Minnesota atheist jersey shirt you want, but yeah, you keep not giving me a size or a color.
Someday.
So.
I know. Right. I don't give in, Don't give in to someone being nice to me.
Okay.
I sent to y'all, I sent a link to a book. I did not expect you to read it or buy it, but I did send you a link to a book because it's a really good book. Can we talk about it?
Is that Gift of Fear? Is that the one?
Yes.
We're gonna anyway.
We being the royal, we being you. Yes.
Great. I'm sorry. You're Larry. That's Daryl.
Who's Larry? Daryl?
The other Daryl.
I'm the other Daryl.
I forget we're using pseudonyms, whatever.
So this Daryl, the book is called The Gift of Fear, and the author is Gavin de Becker. The book is written substantially long ago. So if you read it, you get kind of if you're my age, you get kind of a tech thrill like, oh, wow, those are then the days when we had actual answering machines or things like that.
Cassettes,
those, well, I talked about that. But at any rate, in it, the surveillance methods and all the tracking methods, that's all out the window now. It no longer exists. But the book is still excellent. And if I had to distill it down, what the book says is that we tend to feel like fear is a bad thing. We should not be afraid. And he's saying, oh no, fear is a gift. Fear is what tells you there is danger before the rest of your mind has sorted it out.
Oh.
And if I had to give advice to anyone, and especially if I had to give advice to any of these cheerleaders back in 2013 that felt that they were being wrongly treated by having their passports taken from them, I would state one of the premises of the book is you literally do feel it in your gut. Your gut tells you, however you want to define gut, tells you something. And that's because part of your brain has already come to the conclusion something's really hinky here, but the rest of your brain is trying to logic it out.
Not kinky, hinky, just saying.
I did say hinky.
Okay, so here's another thing that I know that you and I have talked about, Deborah.
Yes.
Is at some point, when do women get to be responsible for their own actions? Because like I've made some stupid decisions. Like I've woken up the next morning and gone like, wow, that was kind of not the best idea in the world.
Bad decisions. So, third time you're on the show, just saying.
Stop it, you. And yet I come back.
Hashtag no regrets.
I know, right? Yeah. So that's like part of it too. Is like when do we start letting women, in general, like this conversation is not just about men and women. Like it's not that binary, but it's the easiest talking point. So when do women start
having agency?
Yes. Yeah.
When do women have agency?
And yeah, exactly. And I've got a good example from my past, which is I had a coworker, and I know I've told both of you this story before, I'm pretty sure. For the sake of the story, I'm going to call her Q-Tip. If you saw her, you would know why. And she would get out of work. We were working late till like midnight, 1 o'clock. It's a downtown area. And she was so afraid that she would say, can somebody please walk me to my car? And I would say, oh yeah, sure. No problem. Because I'm going to pass your car, which is 26 steps away from a very well-lit area, also in a really well-lit area with not a lot of sketchy things going on, while I continue my 10-minute walk home. And I'm not going to be afraid while I walk home because I'm aware. I don't walk past this particular alley. It may or may not be sketchy, but I know my route. I know the neighborhood. I know the people that are there. I'm one of them. I'm part of this crowd. So that's something that I think that we also don't take a lot into account when we're talking about women and agency and Me Too, is we don't also take into account what the women are like on a regular basis, like who we know them to be. We talk a lot about how we know the men to be that are being accused. But this woman was afraid on a very, very regular basis about everything. And I don't know how we fix that. And I don't think there was a lot of trauma in her past. Like we'd had some conversations. So like I was really stumped as to why this fear existed in her.
Well, we have I don't know if we all have the friend on Facebook who asked the question recently, will I be safe if I go to ReasonCon next year? And there really was no way of saying, oh, well, if this certain person shows up, I won't feel safe. And it's like, well, that person could be booted and there could be 10 similar, maybe even more unsafe people there.
Yes.
There's no guarantee, but in a way it's like, well, I see why people are scared, but I'm also like, you're almost jumping in shadows at that point.
All right, here's the way I look at that, is when you have an event that is open to the public, all right, that's sort of like having a dysfunctional family and one of those family members is having Christmas dinner. and they invite everyone. And what they say is, want to turn the light on, sweetie? Do you want it on? Please, thank you. What they say is, come if you want to. We're not excluding anyone. Come if you want to. Now that isn't to say that we are not going to exclude Lawrence Krauss or something, because that on its face, we know that. We know that he's not going to show up anywhere because he's not. But on an individual basis, you must make that call for yourself. And you must determine, I'm not going here because I will not be safe.
Or just like I will feel safe, or I will feel less safe outside of my comfort zone. That I am comfortable in some situations. This is one that I am not.
And I know every atheist convention does its very best to be welcoming and to be inclusive. Interpersonal things are going to happen at a con. Here to tell you, they're going to happen. And sometimes the end result is going to be really great. Sometimes the end result is going to be the next morning going,
shouldn't have done that.
That wasn't the best idea. And sometimes the end result is a month later going, okay, that was a mistake. You don't know. But I don't like the idea that we've set it up where we're making women prisoners and we're making men guardians of our virtue.
Okay, so that's the other problem with agency is like, are we just really giving men this kind of agency over us and our bodies and our decisions? Oh, fuck no. No, you shut up, Zach. You're white and you're male.
I will give nobody agency.
Wrong.
Your agency is your own.
I know.
And don't give me crap if someone drinks beer out of my tub.
Okay,
it's somebody's beer agency.
I will throw an alcohol-related comment out. I spoke to someone who was not of my generation, who was a young generation, and we discussed things that happen at cons. And their opinion is that if alcohol is involved, a woman cannot freely give consent.
Oh, fuck that.
Well, I understand the difference between a woman who is passed out somewhere or a woman that is really inebriated and we've talked in the morning, we've talked in the afternoon, we've kind of made plans, we've had a few beers, now we're going to go get busy.
And it can still be a bad idea in the morning.
Capable of giving consent. I think that man is capable of giving consent, or that
people,
non-binary person, or
those people.
I include everyone in that. I say woman and man because it comes easily to me, but I include every transgender person, gay person, bi person, whatever combination. I believe that they are capable of having enough agency to say, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I think that when we make it so that men are what we're telling now is men is you must treat us with kid gloves. And I don't like that. Treat us with respect. Treat us with dignity.
Pretend that we're a real person.
Voices.
Yes.
But we do not,
wait. That's going way too far.
I don't expect a man to be a mind reader.
Yeah, shut up, Zach. You're just a boy.
I don't expect him to know what I do or do not want to happen unless I articulate that.
Having Deborah say, now we're going to get busy.
To articulate.
Yeah, she's going.
State their needs, to claim their desires and go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, there's definitely a different aspect. And I don't think atheist conferences are different, but I think most people go to these, drop their guard and feel more comfortable. And that's probably why we end up drinking more than we should.
I don't think so. It's pretty fully charged.
But the hooking up, I don't think you need Andrew to, hand you a contract for both people to sign. Although I'd be cool with that.
Zach, can you boost your audio a bit?
I can try. Any better?
That's better. Thank you very much.
On last week's show, I should probably change it because it actually was set because I had everybody in the room talking on one microphone. That's probably why it's a little quieter. But wait, I should be talking tonight. You two are the stars.
No,
we're just contentious bitches. No. Yes. Yeah. Like, feel free to chip in. Like, are we way off base here? Like, you have to have an opinion, but if you do have one, chip in.
It's so tough. I mean, I almost feel like some of these situations are just so individual. It's hard to say. Like, there have been, it's like, oh, Lawrence Krauss is this predator, and then it's like, well, people go to conferences. Some people go to conferences to hook up with the stars.
Yeah, some people.
The stars tend to be in the atheist community. I'm sorry, white males, and that happens. And then people who aren't usually getting people going all over them, and then they go to a conference and go, oh, I know, I'm going to be like, people are going to be talking to me and acting weird around me, and something might happen. And something did happen. Although I am pretty sure Lawrence Krauss won't be invited next year.
I don't think he will. I don't
we'll
think
see.
That's going to happen.
Gosh, that's going to be tough, because I know people who are organizing, ReasonCon next year, and how tough it's going to be to just say, okay, here's our first group of who we think we're going to invite, and then let's see what kind of whisper network or what kind of comments we get.
Yeah, well, but again, doesn't that? Yeah, in some ways it does empower women, but in some ways that's also a really disempowering thing too. So
isn't that a pain that empowering and disempowering tends to happen at the same time?
Yeah, no, it is.
It's like,
but that's
and it's like, oh, wait a second, because you do think things through, and there's potential negative consequences all over the place.
That's kind of what real life looks like, though.
What? No. Yes. Mm-hmm. I can't. I got you too quiet for 5 seconds.
I'm sorry.
That does not compute.
Quit. Drink a beer. Go.
Quit. Drink a beer.
Quick. Drink a beer.
Last week was nice. I had 3 people around. They had plenty to say.
Oh, I found a beer that I have to try. It is called Mama Llama Milk Stout. And how could you not want to try Mama Llama Milk Stout?
Well, maybe they'll have it when I'm in Panama City.
So, next topic. Shall I add in? Jeanne, do you have a topic? Shall I add a topic?
And just throw out this is what we do, is we just kind of talk about something. So, she's looking at her notes and I can't hear her. And can't hear you. Can't hear you, Tenny.
Huh.
Tenny.
All of a sudden the audio is low.
Deborah,
really
time
low.
out. Time out.
We can barely hear you.
Yeah, no, I can hear that you're talking, but it sounds tinny.
Yeah, I know. It's like it just dropped. It's 1/10 as loud as it was before.
Did you drop your mic?
Just tell me you didn't drop your beverage. I would be nervous otherwise.
I think I'll paint the ceiling beige.
Oh, I like that extreme close-up.
I know, right? No, honey, you're still off.
Still kind of quiet.
Okay. So shoot the next topic.
Open her mouth and you do this. You speak for her. No, that's bad.
I was gonna say, shoot the next topic to the group if you can.
There's no group.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't hear.
No. Can Deborah? I don't know that she can hear us.
Yeah, Deborah, can you hear us? I think she can. Huh.
Well, this is scintillating. Yeah.
It's weird.
Haley,
all of a sudden you're in the bottom of this ocean or something. It's got real quiet.
Yeah.
It's like we can hear you, but barely.
No, I can hear you talking, but I can't hear your actual words.
Do that.
Oh, look at you and your sexy earbuds. You upgraded. I still have the white came with my phone earbuds.
Whatever.
Okay.
Agency at work gave me one. So no luck. It's like Charlie Brown's teacher is talking. Did you have the next? I mean, you just had our
I could do a joke.
Right? Oh, the joke. Well,
Yeah,
you know.
well, I've got a short list of jokes that are all dad jokes. So we could preempt that while Haley is working on Deborah's
Sorry,
audio.
Nathan's not listening right now. It doesn't look like.
Yeah, okay. So there's
right.
no pop in. So like overall right now, Zach, how do you feel about our views on this like really kind of it's a broad ranging and kind of stumping issue. For some people it's incredibly black and white, and for some people there's a whole lot of gray. And
yeah, I don't like black and white so much. Just there's always like yes or no. Like people want easy answers. That's why Jordan Peterson's so fucking popular, because he gives you easy answers, but they do not deal with scrutiny. And that's the thing, like when we deal with religious people, like they're so certain, and then we say we don't know, and that's like, well, we win by default. And it's like, no, you don't win by default. And that's the problem with life is everything's very situational.
I think so. But then like, how do we navigate that situation? Like that's the crux. Like it's not like Deborah and I have the right answers. We just have some opinions. That's for damn sure.
I say at this point, I know that I don't know, but I'm glad to listen to other people kind of talk about
hash it out.
I see Deborah. I see her. Let's see if she moves her lips, and I think we have the same.
And we're still
audios.
in the audio. Yep.
Yeah, issues before.
So,
your audio is still kind of low, Deborah. Just to let you know, and I don't know why I spoke louder when I said that. Don't you hear me? I'm just kidding.
She's reading your lips.
I know. I mean, nope. We can hear her, but it's very quiet.
I'm gonna log off and log back on. Okay.
I could actually hear you then, but
that was getting a little closer. Try it again.
All right. Yeah, the turn off, turn back on thing.
Oh, that works for that works for me.
It works for you, yeah.
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 But I don't discount all of the voices, because I really do think that our culture is a constantly shifting morass of what is going to be the new normal. And I think that we need to yell at each other in order for people to
we need to figure out how to disagree and like not automatically decide we're going to shut people off because we disagree. It's like
no, I still think that some of those
listen to that.
Well, some of those voices are correct. Like they don't. They represent part of our culture that represents the change that's going to happen next, and it is incumbent on the people in the middle to say, okay, so I hear you both yelling. How are we going to find this?
Man, it's hard to say what the middle is these days.
Well, I know, but it always shifts. Okay, yes, we've got her back.
We can hear you.
All right.
We're just talking the two of us. It was terrible, I tell you. Come back.
Say thank you, Haley. Please say thank you, Haley.
Thank you, Haley.
Thank you, Haley. Where do we send
my little daughter?
Or whatever?
Okay.
Did you see? She's beautiful.
Yes, she's beautiful, and we're live. We're recording. Stop it. This does not get edited.
Stop it.
Okay, so
no, this does not get edited. There's one episode where the sound disappeared for a few minutes, and she's like, Jeannie's like, you're not editing that. I'm like, you're right, I'm not.
I'm allowed to say my daughter is beautiful.
Well, she is beautiful. So Zach and I were just talking about how the loud voices on any side of any issue are what cause us to find the middle. And the middle has shifted over the centuries, like over the millennia.
Overton's window, the principle of Overton's window, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so I do, even if I don't agree with the loud voices, I think they're necessary. And sometimes I agree with that voice, like a little bit more, but
we do find the middle. We do find a middle. And I think, Jeannie, that's one of the things that you and I have spoken at length, is that there is a middle, and the middle isn't being heard. And the difficulty is the middle is comprised, I don't know, perhaps of women like us who are saying, we don't want you to take our agency.
Mhm.
We don't want you to protect our virtue. We don't want you to make choices for us.
Yeah. Well,
We
they're
are
also comprised of
capable.
people like Zach too, like men like Zach.
And men like that, but I'm speaking specifically of women because
Yes.
we have to. What?
Just making faces.
Oh,
Who's
you're
like
gonna make
me? I don't know. I just hear too many people saying really loudly that they're in the center and then they're actually on one side or the other. They're just wanting to get attention. So it's hard to say, like, is this the hardest time to say things are in the center? Because there's so much, like,
There
always
is no
both
center right
sides,
now.
but then
There
one
is
side's
no
constantly,
center.
like, lying and that's kind
There is no center. It's incredibly polarized.
Yeah.
And I understand the reaction of individuals who feel, you want me to what?
Just kidding. I'm just doing my cat impersonation to
Cheese.
distract you. I'm a professional here. You gotta roll with it. You're not in the chat room. What is this? Welcome to the jungle.
Okay, so one of you guys like just like one of you talk.
Okay.
That was just chaos for like the last 2 minutes.
Tell Zach to be quiet. Zach,
okay, shut up, Zach, because you're cute. Drink your beer and dimple. Ask us good questions later. And Deborah, reorient your camera. We're looking at your ceiling.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. To your boobs. Back to your boobs. There you go.
There. Can you see them? Are they pretty?
Yes, much better.
Whoa! That was awesome.
Are they pretty boobs?
Village.
Is everyone happy? Okay, so here we go.
Sure.
No, because people are yelling at each other and nobody's coming to a consensus. So no.
No one is coming to a consensus.
But your camera is better.
Good, I'm glad. We are yelling at each other. And that's not making any progress at all. Because the difficulty is you have a group of individuals who discuss the concept of consent. And I agree with the concept of consent. I absolutely, positively agree with the concept of consent, all right? That said, I have agency. I have agency to act. I don't want someone to not respect my agency. I really don't.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
No. No, thank you. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Be quiet, Zach. This is our show now. Go away.
That is true. This is like your pilot episode right here.
Yeah. Now Deborah's way too into politics.
Oh, she's drinking. You talk.
We just do this over the phone. So this is what we're like pretty much every night for about an hour.
Well, there's usually more swearing involved. Yeah.
Yeah, and shame on you for fucking
it's weird, yeah.
Not letting go.
I use profanity when it's appropriate.
In every single sentence.
I am appropriately profane. But this is the real concern that I have is this. When we go very far to the men are all at fault, social justice warrior end, men need to take the lashes for the human beings that they've been. Honestly, that doesn't help me because I make my decisions. I make my choices. I have my autonomy. And I think that what we need to do is encourage other women to seize their autonomy. I will add in one of the things that has come up between Lawrence Krauss or David Silverman, between all those scandals. One of the things that come up that I think that I reflect on frequently is I have been a victim of assault. I know what assault is. I do not mistake a romantic or physical date or relationship or meeting up gone wrong It's not assault. Even if I look and think, well, that was a bad idea, it doesn't matter. It was a bad idea. It wasn't assault. And right now, you've got individuals where we don't want to shame victims. I don't want to shame victims. I've been a victim. I didn't like it very much, and I had no resources to express what happened.
Yeah.
But I also know when I've made bad choices. And one of the things, as my children were growing up, I explained to them and said, look, whoops, you're losing me. One of the hardest things,
I'm like, what happened?
Just keep talking.
One of the hardest things that will ever happen to you, one of the most difficult things you will have to deal with, is to watch your mother or see your mother make a bad decision. And I said, and guess what? You have to give me the agency to make that bad decision because I'm an adult.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? How do we encourage women who have their passports taken away to say, no, this is not going to happen, and have a nice day?
Okay, so does that come?
How do we do that?
Does that come down to parenting then? Like, are we teaching our children incorrectly? Do we, like, you know, is this a school? Is this an education issue? Is this a cultural issue?
It's an educational issue. It's a cultural issue. I will freely admit that I have remarkable parents, amazing parents. And I had a father who taught me to do all the quote unquote boy things. You know, I learned to build things and paint things and hammer things. And I was seen as equal wasn't the word. It was simply a matter of there was no concept of unequal in my household. There was no concept of you can't do that because you're a girl. There was no concept of you can't do that. The question was,
I think that we both had that same upbringing, that same set of values, if you will, that our parents taught to us. No, if you want to climb a roof and hammer shingles, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to learn how to use a bandsaw or an arc welder, have fun. If you want to be a mechanic, go do that. Just be the best mechanic you can. And I think that in a lot of ways, we don't culturally teach our children that. Some of that is parenting and some of that is just expectations. So what do we have to do to fix that?
Quite frankly, look at the school. We're not even going to, it's very difficult to talk about public education because we're busy trying to destroy it. So that kind of bites. Mm-hmm. Assuming we had a healthy public education, there are two classes that have gone by in the last several decades. And one of those is shop class and one of those is home ec.
I've taken both of those.
And I'm here to tell you, everyone should take both of them. All right.
Yes.
If you're a woman, you should know how to weld and you should know how to use a jigsaw. If you're a man, you should know how to cook and how to sew. Everyone should know all the things.
Basic life skills.
It's funny. I know how to cook and none of the other stuff.
They are basic.
Not hand me a power tool unless you want things to be destroyed. Yeah.
Oh. And your dinner looked delicious tonight, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I cook. I just, I couldn't put together my own grill. So that's a thing.
Cooking is good.
Cooking is good.
No. Well, but that's how that's why you have.
Zach, you know you're speaking to a woman that camped on her honeymoon. I mean, what's
because you're weird.
More than digging a latrine on your honeymoon?
Oh, wow.
Putting together a grill.
Well, I put together one grill. I just couldn't put together the last one. But the last one's way better. Big green egg. You can't.
Yeah.
I know. I understand you're in Vermont. It's a whole different thing.
I know. I had that job for a while, so there was a summer where I just spent time.
She gets to live in Burning Land and have Tom and Jerry's ice cream whenever she wants.
Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's.
Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry.
Bernie
Oh, that was a
Sanders
blast
just
from the
comes
past.
by,
Oh, sorry.
hanging out.
Yeah, I've got the scoop shop.
Tom and Jerry's make Jerry's Garcia? Or is Jerry's Garcia only from Ben and Jerry's, not Tom and Jerry?
Tom and Jerry's a cartoon, honey.
I know.
I like that.
Thank you.
Okay, but you know what? Actually, they really should make a Tom and Jerry flavored. Like, what would that taste like? But they should make a Tom and Jerry.
It probably wouldn't be
Ice
good,
cream.
but who knows?
That
Do
would
we
be
have
great.
like 5 more stories to cover, or what's
We do. We have other stories to cover.
Well, and by we mean Deborah.
I saw no Peace Prize.
Whoa. Why does Deborah do the work?
Because she likes it, and she's a dork.
Yeah, she does like it, yeah.
Don't tell anyone. Do not tell anyone.
Yeah,
This is-
it's my
Well,
secret.
when I told
I've never told anybody.
about the Lawrence Krauss situation, for a day or two, it was like, wait a second. Then it's like, wait, you're in the book industry, and now all these authors are being accused. And it's like, it's everywhere. It's not just.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Well, and you know where
There's
it
a
is?
thing about the Peace Prize. Was it someone getting nominated for Peace Prize who?
Yes, exactly. There will be no 2018 Nobel Prize for Literature.
Damn you,
And
Bob
the
Dylan. Just kidding.
And the reason is the individual and an individual, a woman who is on the voting committee, has a husband. Apparently, that husband has been charged or challenged or accused of a extraordinary series of wrong activities.
That was
And
gently
the-
put.
And
Oh.
they are not issuing a Nobel Prize this year for literature. And that makes me sad.
Yeah. Well, but next year you get
Mind you,
two.
next year they will issue 2.
Okay.
They won't leave a year behind. But the
Don't
point
they
is,
have, like,
the
runners
system
up? No.
corrupted. The system is corrupted. And I have a question for you, Zach.
Oh,
Oh
shit.
dear.
I'll be quiet. I'll be kind. I'll be gentle.
Go for it.
Thank you. Zach, what do you think men need to know so that they can go forward, so that they can be full participants, so that they can feel free to embrace women and women's desires, and yet act in a way that is not inappropriate? What needs to be done?
Yeah,
You're
white
not-
man.
What needs to be
How
done?
do you not be? How do you not be a dick?
Yeah, there you go. How to not be.
Impossible. But the greatest thing I've learned
you
is
have one.
walking through other people's shoes and seeing what other people have gone through. And I can't say I've been terribly diverse in my show, but I've definitely tried to do male, female, trans as best as I can. And to just listen. I mean, if you talk to any women, you're going to eventually hear stories of what they've been through and just what it's like on a daily basis, and just try to see things through other people's eyes, even see things through religious believers' eyes, and go, okay, people will see things differently than me.
Well, then
and
let me
know that there's privilege involved.
Whoa. Time out. I'm going to say, like, you are only going to get the perspective of women when they trust you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get the perspective of women
that's the
who
case
don't.
with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people are going to tell you I'll just say it, whitewashed version of themselves, and you don't get the full story. So
we all offer a whitewashed version of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we do it every day. We do it every day. All right.
At work, on Facebook, at home.
Then let me narrow the question.
Hmm.
If you had a son, what would you teach him? How would you teach him?
That's why I chose not to have kids. I have cats, and I've taught them to nap all day, and they're learning the lessons well.
Pretend.
Pretend.
For me, pretend.
I don't know what I'd do because I'd have to be in that situation. I am not in that situation. I can't speak for kidnapping people. Sorry.
No. You go out to restaurants and you see people with children.
I ignore the hell out of them.
People with children. You come to conclusions. What conclusions
I go, la, 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 I cannot hear them. I'd say it's a tougher world that people are heading into, but I'm hoping it's a more honest world because I feel like people have been taught stories. Like I live in the American South, and so many people don't even know what slavery was.
I know.
We have so many. They just opened a museum in Montgomery, and it's dedicated to lynchings.
Yes.
And this is something that happened and is actually still happening around the country, and people are trying to pretend that it doesn't.
Yes.
And you have to like show the world as it is, but not as like this just deathscape, like where it's this terrible, horrible place. There is still hope. There are still great people. I mean, I've met great people on this show. I'm talking to two of them right now.
Oh, we're the best people. We're not just great. We're the best.
Exactly. The best.
We're fucking awesome. I'm glad you got the memo.
It's a tough place, and you have to find those people and to acknowledge them when they're there and be grateful. I mean, not in a way where you're like on your knees praying to God, but going, oh, these people in my life, they add value every time I talk to them. That's great. Not every time, not you. Brat. When it happens. But it's really tough.
Upon the occasion, people have said so.
The truth is, me and my wife, like, we decided not to have kids, so we don't even spend that much time with friends who have kids because we're not that adult couple.
Right, you're not part of that crowd.
I mean, I got kind of excluded in a way from my nephew's life, so I don't know that much about their upbringing. So yeah, I don't have a feel.
Well, actually, like honestly, Deborah, I'm gonna have to say like that's not an easy question that you asked, Zach.
Oh, I didn't mean it to be easy. I meant it to be serious.
I know.
Well, no, I am, but the reason I'm saying that is like
I don't own any softballs. I'm blind. I don't play softball. So there we are.
I'll throw one at you and you can't see it coming. But I don't know how I would respond to that question either. If you had asked me, how would I raise a daughter? Or how would I raise a son?
You're a woman.
Well, like I would have my ideas about what to do, but I'm not saying that they would be correct, and I'm not saying that they would be comprehensive. So, like, I might in the long run have a plausible response to that, but in the short run, that's a really hard question to just, like off the cuff answer, especially since Zach is not a kid person. P.S. bonus points.
Okay, got the bonus points.
No bonuses.
When I asked the question, I was looking for one idea that you would want to transmit to your children, to your sons. And I'm wondering what that would be. If you had sons, what idea would you transmit to them?
Or your daughters.
No, I'm asking about sons.
Excellent to one another.
I know. Well, I know you are. I'm asking about the daughters too.
Well, then you can ask about the daughters. Go right ahead.
Oh gosh, I like this. I feel the fire here.
Yeah, this is how we talk all the time on the phone. I just get to see her this time.
I know we get to do this on like. Well, I don't.
There's a lot of responsibility, and sometimes I don't get that. Like, some of the white men who are like stars of the atheist community are totally cool with taking all the love and the kudos and all the people that give them hugs at conferences. But then when things go bad in the conference, they are the first ones to go, not me.
Out. Yeah.
Not me. They don't take the responsibility. And I feel like if you have that, and by the way, I am born with that, you have extra responsibility to pay attention to what's going on. And it's hard now to pay attention. There's so much noise.
Yeah. Well,
people are trying desperately to get people fired from like cable television, like jobs and stuff. But there's a lot of distraction, and some of it's, I can't say my sports obsession is good or bad, but it's a distraction that sometimes is a helpful thing. But you have to take that and go, if I'm given this responsibility to be a leader or to just be in the position I'm in, what can I do with that? What can I do to help people? And I want to help people. I just don't feel like right now I am, except if you show up at my show, I'm going to ask you nice questions and you can answer them and I'll drink beer.
Okay, good. I will give you.
Wait, that's a good answer.
It is a good answer. It's a great answer.
First time I said that ever. Just kidding.
And I have a bit of information that I would add to that answer, that I would piggyback onto that.
Yes, please.
Am I permitted to do that?
Of course you are. Just
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go with it. I was reading a study of courses that were offered at universities that were listed as men's studies. Now, believe it or not, back in the Stone Age when we had horses and chariots and all rode on papyrus and all that crap, I was in school and I actually took a men's studies course because I was very curious about what the other side's issues look like.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I know what my issues look like. What do their issues look like? In universities today, if you have a women's studies course, it is overwhelmingly attended by women. But fun fact, if you have a men's studies course, it is mostly attended by, you guessed it, women. And the difficulty is, what do men believe is being discussed in a course like that? And the theory was, and I don't know that it's not been proven, so it's simply a theory based on what they've seen students say when they walked out, turned it down, or decided to drop out, is that men were being taught that they had to share their achievements and their ambitions with women, and they didn't know how.
So you're talking about emotional intelligence? Is that the extrapolation from that?
Yes, exactly. That's well put. I'm impressed. That's very well put.
You're impressed. Thanks.
And when you have privilege equality, seems like you're going downhill, and that's something that's happening a lot.
I think that the reality is that as touchy-feely as we are as a society, when men hit puberty,
I'm doing the too close as I can get from here in Atlanta.
You're just messing with me. You're just messing with me.
Your audio,
Of
you're
course he
missing
is.
so much of this show. I'm just saying, not much.
Yeah, this makes for good radio drama.
You're cruel.
I'm telling Nathan Vicky in the
Yes.
chat to make some babies. So just
Would you like me to continue, or shall I not
please
continue?
continue.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah. You're gonna anyway. Just keep going. Don't ask. Just keep
You
going.
know that I am.
Of course I do. Keep going. Stop laughing.
The difficulty is that when and again, I'm going with the traditional male-female gender because this is what the study was linked to. I'm not meaning to be exclusionary. My apologies if it sounds exclusionary. The data was strictly linked to male-female studies. With young boys and prepubescent boys, they showed the emotional concern and the emotional, I'm going to call it achievement, but they used a different word. They showed the same level as women. That changed after puberty. Now the question is, does it change because it's hormonally driven? Does it change because it's culturally driven? Does it change because it's home driven, religion driven, or is it a combination thereof? I would guess combination.
Yeah, I would too, but like we have a boy, we should probably ask him. Like how did your experience? Well, how did your experience change, Zach? Like from when you went from being
9 to 15.
Yeah. Like what was that like inside your head?
What was it like inside my head?
I mean, besides like sex all the time, please now.
Longer showers.
Oh, right, like
Not
women's
too
have been
detailed.
killed with it. Come on.
Oh yeah, I took a lot of showers.
A lot of showers.
I took a lot of showers,
You know, we've passed,
and they were longer.
We've passed the hour point. Yeah, longer than mine was, that's for sure. We've gone past an hour now. Every time you're in the chat room, you ask one question at the end, and what is that? Who has a joke and who wants to start?
Is it that time already?
Yeah.
It was that time a while ago. Yeah.
Oh, fudge cake. Okay. I have a comment.
Fudge cake? Really, chick?
Fudge cake.
Really? Really?
Where do we live again? What is going on? I'm confused.
Okay.
I'm old.
Okay,
You'll have
so-
to forgive me. Okay.
Fuck you. Yeah. No, you're not. Go ahead.
Okay. I have a sort of joke and a pun. Are we
Of
ready?
course you do.
We're ready.
Just bring it, woman. Stop apologizing. Just do it.
What do the opinions of Lenin, what do the opinions of Stalin have in common with dark humor and food?
I desperately want to know.
I'm afraid to ask. Go ahead.
Not everyone gets it.
Shit.
We don't get it.
God damn.
Okay. But I have a lightweight one too. All right.
That was horrible. Okay, go ahead.
I happen to like it very much. Okay, this one, and I'm going to give a shout out because a shout out is deserved. This is from Mr. Eric Brewer, Eric Durock. What is the favorite color of lawyers?
Tell us.
Lavender.
Lavender.
Good God. Oh my God, Eric.
Tell us
You and
one.
Eric are both fired. Like, I'm unfriending you as soon as this call is done.
Okay, so
Oh
we
my
set the bar kind of low, Jeannie. So what you got?
What you got,
I know
Jeannie?
this-
Come on, bring it on. Bring it on, honey.
Okay. Okay, so pretty much everything that I have is like a dad joke because
I love
otherwise
dad
I'd be...
jokes. They're the best.
Okay. So a piece of string walks into a bar. And the bartender says, I know, right? So the bartender says, wait, are you a piece of, like, we don't serve string here. Get out. And, you know, the string gets kind of limp and like, oh, okay. And walks out of the bar and thinks about it for a second. And he starts doing contortions and he's like wrapping himself around him stuff. And he like flips his little hair around for a bit and kind of fluffs it all up. Walks back into the bar and orders another drink. And the bartender says, aren't you that piece of string? And the piece of string says, I'm afraid not. Afraid not. Jesus.
Okay, that was well done. Oh my goodness gracious, that was well
Still
done.
gotten it.
Okay, so do we talk about Texas for a second? Because it's a longer one.
Boys are stupid. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, truck driver. Truck breaks down, middle of nowhere, everything is closed, not going to be able to get the part until Tuesday morning. He's stuck there for a weekend. So he's like, all right. So like I'm a little hungry. Where can I go to get food? Walks into the bar because, you know, bar jokes are always funny. Orders a plate of nachos. And he's, you know, kind of waiting. The nachos show up and these are in like a platter. This is the kind of thing that you would see in one of those like all you can eat food places. Like it's a plate of nachos.
Right now,
Guys, like,
hungry.
I know, right? Sorry. Well, in honor of Cinco de Mayo.
Here.
So, you know, looks at the bartender. He's like, dude, I wanted a plate of nachos. The bartender looks at him and says, this here is Texas. Everything here is big in Texas. I'm like, all right. So he's eating the nachos and pretty soon he's getting a little thirsty. So he orders a beer and a pony keg arrives in the bar. And he's like, well, holy fuck. Like, I just wanted a beer. what's up with this? The bartender's like, this here's Texas. Everything's big here in Texas. I'm like, all right. Like, I'm going to be here for a little bit. Like, I can do this. Pretty soon he's most of the way through this pony keg, and he's got to go to the bathroom. So, bartender, where's a bathroom? Bartender's like, well, it's down the hall and to the left. Thank you. So guy walks down the hallway, and pretty soon he's like, and he doesn't remember, so he opens the door on the right, walks in, falls into a swimming pool. Bartender hears a splash, runs down the hallway, and the guy's coming up for the third time saying, don't flush it! Don't flush it! Okay, I'm fired.
Okay, y'all, I just let my hair down.
Yes, you did.
I know.
Just to make everybody happy.
Well, you look much more comfortable now. Yeah.
I can't think. I can only think when my hair is on top of my head. I'm now officially stupid.
Well, usually we let people highlight their shows, but do you have anything else you want to cover tonight?
I am on the edge of having a show.
Really?
Yeah, I am. And
Yay!
I'm pretty excited.
Without me! Yay!
What? That seems wrong.
I
can't keep up with their fucking homework, bitch. Are you kidding me?
Can I tell you a little bit about about what I'm going to do?
Sure.
You see, okay, there are so many stories out there. There are so many bills in Congress. There are so many bills in state houses around the country. There is so much going on in the medical industry. And we are awash in Trump garbage. We're living in the dumpster fire. And what I want to do is talk about the things that are incredibly important that no one's making time for, because we're all tending the dumpster fire. And I'd like it to touch on politics and on a little bit of law and a little bit of medicine, possibly a book recommendation or two. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Well,
go
that's
find it.
too kind, so don't go with
Do you mean
that. But
polyester has been taken away?
I'm sorry?
God, stop bringing that up. No. Just pretend he wasn't talking. We're fine.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that Deborah and I will probably, if we can find a good medium, we'll probably have more conversations on other people's shows. But yeah, we're not doing.
She's really smart, and she's funny, and she's got an infectious laugh.
Bo, no.
True that.
No. I'm miserable. I'm a
No.
Nathan, get them on.
True that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will probably go on to pretty much anybody who wants us on to talk about the stuff that we normally talk about when we're on the phone in front of people doing recording things. Because
wait, whoa. Does that mean I have to wear clothes?
Well, no, only if they're video recording.
Oh, good. That's a good deal. I like that. I totally like that. We can sign on to that.
I kind of figured.
You didn't have to be on video, but she did it.
I know. Well, it's because she's being professional and shit. It's really cute.
Is it? Thank you.
No.
I appreciate
You're welcome.
Well, if you do want to support this show, you can be like Bobby, Hugh, Teote, and Larry, and Daryl, and the other Daryl, which I think is me, and support the show on patreon.com/Zachrilege, ZACHRILEGE. Follow me on Twitter, like the Zachrilege Cast page on Facebook, send all love, hate mail, guest ideas to Zachrilege.cast@gmail.com, but don't send show notes there, I will not look. So thank you to Deborah and Jeanne for being on tonight. Thank you for putting up with me and actually asking me tough questions, which I didn't have to answer because it's my damn show. So thank y'all. Good night and good luck. And I'll have a better exit maybe next time. So adios, muchachos.
I got another joke. If you're
Mile.